Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for investing your time with us today. We truly appreciate you choosing to spend part of your day here with D&H and HP Poly as we explore how Poly is shaping the next generation of video collaboration and creating new growth opportunities across the region. For those who haven't had a chance to connect with yet, my name is Kevin Shem. I lead the Poly practice here at D&H, and today is really about re-engaging with you, our valued partners, ensuring you feel supported, enabled, and positioned to win in your upcoming opportunity. Our goal is simple: share meaningful updates, highlight where the market is moving, and equip you with practical insights that you can take back to your teams and your customers. This is designed to be interactive. We'll have dedicated time for Q&A at the end, but I'll be monitoring the questions throughout the session, so please don't hesitate to use the chat. The session is for you, and we want to make it as valuable and actionable as possible. So let's get started. Joining me today is Jeff Taylor, Senior Technology Consultant with HP Poly Hybrid Work Solutions.
Thanks, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, depending on where you may be. I'm Jeff Taylor. As Kevin introduced me, I've been with HP, Polycom, give or take 16 years now. So I've been playing in the space for quite an amount of time. Based in Vancouver, and I support basically all the Western Canadian enterprise accounts, as well as our valued partners. So today, as Kevin was alluding to, we're going to provide to you a product update. I like this to be as interactive as possible. I find that it helps us promote the right information for yourselves, and that you receive the pertinent information that's relative to you. So having said that, let's dive into it. So as we have come together, as HP has purchased Poly, you can see displayed on the screen here, whoops, not sure why that jumped ahead. You can see the broad level of product set that we're bringing to the industry, coupled with HP's compute that you see on the left-hand side. We're now building and promoting purpose-built products that are meant for perhaps the Microsoft Teams room side of things. As we progress through, we are designing and developing even our display systems that are incorporating the Poly equipment, i.e. cameras, the audio, the technologies that we've long been bringing to the industry. We're building that into even our displays. Keyboards, mice that HP is obviously well known for, but we're really focusing on the Poly side of things, the video side of things. And again, Poly's been well known for our voice products,
Sorry,
our
Jeff.
headset.
There's some people saying there's no audio. Is everyone hearing audio? I'm hearing audio on my side.
Hey, I'm here. It's Kevin. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. I got it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
I hope we're good. So anyway, so going back, we're going to be focusing on the video side of things, but you can see the broad portfolio that Poly brings to the table when it comes to the broad UC platform, from voice, video, headsets, et cetera, et cetera. So when we're out in front of our customers, our partners, these are some of the typical things, the challenges that we see that customers are experiencing when they're transitioning and coming back to the modern workplace, or meeting rooms, if you will. We're all used to working at home. We've become accustomed to having the best of products when it comes to eliminating the background noises, having good video, et cetera. So I'm really going to focus on a couple of these main problems, like when we're having problems staying focused, right? I've got all these distracting noises, so how do we eliminate that? Video calls that I want the cameras to be perfect, right? And whoops, apologize. Workers don't want to have to walk into a room. They don't want to have to troubleshoot or call IT support. They want to know that when I walk into a room, I hit a button and I'm immediately brought into calls. So nice and easy. Next. So poll question to start off with. what are you seeing or hearing as challenges from your customers? And I'll let you pick your A, B, C, D. And it could even be, some of you might even say, look, I've got all of those. They all resonate with me. So I'll give you a brief moment to go in and submit your answers, whether you think it's audio, people can't be heard in the room, if I've got issues on the video side of things, I've got tracking problems, I've got poor video. It could even be C there, that room complexity, that problems initiating meetings, or even how do I control the room? I've got a large, complex room. How do I control those? And if there's others that you hear, please feel free and jump in on that. Okay, hopefully we've had enough time to submit your answers. So it's a pretty broad, it's pretty even, I would say. So I'm a little surprised at audio, because we put an immense amount of innovation and technology into audio. So maybe you're familiar with Poly, maybe that's why you don't have problems with audio. Room complexity, okay, that's good. And obviously video. So video seems to be the front runner. So hopefully as we progress through that, through the deck, hopefully the issues and the slides that you see will help appease and make you feel more comfortable. So thank you for your responses. Excuse me. So another challenge that I hear a lot when I'm front and center with our partners and customers, when it comes into audio in rooms. I know you mentioned that audio was probably a third in the poll, but a lot of times when we're going into rooms, there's a lot of dead zones. There's no mic pickup. Certainly as we're going into newer spaces, and a lot of customers are designing rooms that have glass walls and flat surfaces, shiny tables that have a polished look, are natural not devices, but natural reflective surfaces. So you've got those sound waves as we're talking, they're bouncing around the room. And the end result is I'm getting a poor audio experience. And then there are times when mics aren't picking up the back of the room, right? So those, we hear those, that they resonate, and they're always that repeating aspect that we're hearing from customers. So having said that, we have come up with a solution that we are providing to our customers. This is something we call VoiceScore AI. And it's an analytical tool that is free to use. It comes built into our lens management platform that we'll get into later. But this is a tool that, from a proactive measure, I can go into the room and I can analyze the audio quality in the room. So as you can see, that's being displayed on the screen, the test results. We strive for above 4, right? So you can see in the legend there that above 3 is considered good, but we always want to strive for the best quality experience that we can make as possible. So there's different levels. We run through the scores, and then there's different things that we can do from a configuration capability, whether I want to add an external mic, whether I want to enable the background management capabilities that eliminate those reverberations that I was mentioning before, the glass walls, or eliminate the background noises. So all of these things coupled together help raise the level of quality that we experience within rooms. So for your enjoyment pleasure, hopefully this plays. I think it takes a minute to queue. Doesn't seem to be loading. Unfortunate.
When setting up conference rooms across an organization, it can be challenging to understand the audio quality in each space. Sometimes issues get reported, but often they don't. People in the room usually aren't aware there's a problem unless someone on the far end speaks up. VoiceScore AI eliminates the guesswork. Powered by advanced machine learning, it analyzes acoustics and provides a real-time score, helping identify whether any adjustments are needed for a better audio experience. Let's take a look at how it works. Right now, this room has a score of 2.36. There are a lot of distractions, reverberation, and overall background noise coming through the call. Here are the recommendations for improving the audio in this room. I can also enable Poly audio technologies directly from this page. Now the background score has improved to 3.73. The audio is much clearer, focusing in on my voice instead of the distracting noises. As I move to the back of the room, you'll see that the score has dropped to 2.48. So in this case, let's go ahead and plug in an expansion microphone. By plugging in an expansion microphone, I can bring the score in the back of the room up to 4.12. If I want to see how this room score changes over time or compare it to other rooms, I can download the file. I can even set a target score to use as my standard for audio quality, helping ensure consistent audio quality across all rooms. VoiceScore AI is part of Poly Labs. Visit hp.com to learn more.
Fantastic. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight into the, as I like to categorize, the set it and forget it. So you can feel confident that when you are designing and building, constructing, deploying these rooms for your customers, enabling this functionality allows you to understand the quality and the experience that people are going to get, rather than having, I don't know, the CEO is going to call you and say, that call that I was just on, nobody could hear me. There's background noise, there was echo. It was just a terrible experience, right? So when we go through the VoiceScore AI, it's like I said, I understand the quality of the audio in that room. So that was a bit of Poly overview and kind of give you a little snippet of some of the functionality that we're providing to increase the quality and the experience. So let's dive into a little bit on the various different products that we have from the video portfolio. So starting off with MTR, with a Microsoft Teams Room for Windows solution. So this is where HP and Poly really came together to build a very cohesive solution, enabling their compute that they engineered in consultation with ourselves. So how do we build the compute that's integrating with our video and audio technologies and really coming together to build this G9 Plus, right? So this has been in the market, give or take, for about a year. But as you can see, we're really focusing on the simplicity, the resiliency, the manageability. And manageability is a huge aspect. We're going to get more into that on the lens. But we're now able to take the MTR Windows systems that typically were managed on Microsoft's Teams Admin Center, but we're now taking these devices, these MTRs, we're registering them to our lens, and now we have full control over the updates, the firmware, the health of the products, as opposed to always relying on Teams Admin Center. So here's the back of the G9 Plus. And we designed it with simplicity in mind, so that as I'm circling around and you can see highlighted, all of the ports on there are color coded, right? It might seem as very simplistic, but the end result is, in consultation with our customers, they absolutely love this simple functionality. When you look at it, here I've got two USB-C ports. One is obviously sort of a reddish orange, the other sort of a turquoise teal color, blue color. It's easy from a help desk perspective, troubleshooting perspective, somebody might call you up and say, I don't know what's going on, I've lost video. And then it's easy for you to say, oh, is the camera plugged into the blue port or the red port? It's easy for you to easily identify potential problems. Probably first and foremost, one of the best solutions that we have, I'll draw your attention to the purple port. this is where our touch controllers are connecting over Ethernet, as opposed to other products that all of the controllers are connecting over a USB port. And the reason I highlight this is when you think of, we want to minimize complexity in the rooms, right? We want to make it as simple as possible. So as we're designing these rooms, they're getting larger and larger and larger. Now my room controllers, my touch interfaces, if they're running over USB and that cable has to run a long distance, now I'm introducing the potential for USB extenders, which at times, as we all know, we've all been around long enough, I'm sure, USB extenders can be finicky at times, right? So again, it's introducing the potential for complexity to go up, right? So extending and furthering the touch controllers, as you can see, so not only are we now connecting our TC10 over Ethernet, you can see purple ports and you can see the cable that we supply, color coded even on the ends of the cable. And so no, purple goes to purple, right? With the ability to now leverage the Ethernet connectivity as opposed to USB, I now have the ability, as you can see, for large rooms, I can now extend that out and now build out that room having 4 of these connectors. Or not, pardon me, not connectors, but controllers, right? So when you think of in the past, I've now walked into a very large room. I only have one controller that it may be at the front of the room, it may be at the back of the room, wherever it may be, it's out of my reach. So I'm always asking somebody else to either mute or share content or adjust the camera or whatever the case may be. By expanding the number of controllers that we have, again, over Ethernet, I now typically have got a room controller within easy reach, right? Nobody else is doing this. HP has brought this out, and this is, again, this is some of the technology that I mentioned before, HP and Poly coming together and purposely designing the G9 Plus and supporting Ethernet connectivity.
Jeff?
Yes.
There's a question that came in around, can you share content in BYOD using the USB-C from the touch panel when using the G9 Plus?
So we have the ability through USB, not necessarily sharing content. One of the ports on the back here, it is a display port, DP alt mode. So it can connect to a monitor, but the content sharing is still, as you can see on the yellow port here on the right, is HDMI. There's other ways of presenting content. I can wirelessly share through a Teams client or have another device connect into the same meeting and share. But over USB, we have USB sharing where me as a person coming in BYOD, I can easily connect and I can leverage the peripherals that are attached to the G9 Plus. But as far as content sharing per se, unfortunately not.
And can you talk to the capabilities for multi-camera support on the G9 Plus? So example, the E70 or the E60.
Yes, I have slides on that. So thank you for that.
Perfect.
Okay, so here's a nice little segue. Thank you. So when we look at the G9 Plus, the capabilities that we've designed into the G9 Plus when it comes to the number of USB ports, the ability to extend and add, whether it's microphones, whether it's cameras, building out, depending on the room that you're trying to position that for, you can have up to 4 cameras. We can have built-in audio on the Studio V products that we'll get into. I can even augment that into IP peripherals that would extend off our V products, so i.e. IP microphones. So you can see in here multiple USB ports on the front, multiple USB ports on the back. So really lending to how I'm building out and designing a room. So here we've got the E60, the E70, the Studio V products, for those of you that are familiar with our video cameras, and then furthering into the touch controllers, as I was alluding to before. Okay, so next. So the G9 Plus itself, as I mentioned, it's arguably been in the marketplace for give or take a year, maybe a little bit longer. But I'll draw your attention to it. This is an i7 core product. So the reason I call that out, when you look at the capabilities in Teams, right? The ability to drive up to 4 simultaneous video streams, so 4 cameras, right? When you look at designing rooms, maybe large rooms that have the very large monitor that are utilizing a 21:9 layout, all of that is very compute intensive. So we feel very confident with the designing this with an i7, a 13th gen i7 CPU. It's going to elongate your lifespan. It's going to take you well down the road and support not only what Teams is doing today, but we're quite confident that it's going to take you well down the road. Windows 11 IoT, so it is a hardened OS. So I have a lot of customers that say, why don't I just go and get my own CPU, right? And put in my own PC and design an MTR solution. So we like to say that these are all preloaded, they're hardened OS. There's nothing you can do. You're not loading any antivirus or anything like that. It's a hardened OS. There's nothing that you do to it. But I really want to highlight, and this from a competitive standpoint, and it's not talked a lot about enough, but when you're engaging with your customers, first and foremost, one of the utmost priorities to them is security. Right. So when we think of MTR systems, they're typically sitting in a room somewhere, they're unattended. I've got all these ports that, are basically accessible. If somebody had malicious intent, I could come in with a USB stick and potentially inject some kind of malware or something that's malicious. We protect the MTR system with our Sure Start. So this is a layer that protects the BIOS. There's nothing that can be injected into the PC itself. So when we're discussing this with our customers, their eyes just automatically light up. They have no idea. So they love the fact that they don't have to worry about, locking up the MTR system. They know that this device is going to be protected. And when we protect the BIOS, nothing can happen to the CPU. If something is detected on the BIOS, it shuts down. It doesn't get to the OS. The CPU doesn't start up. It's that baseline protection that nothing can happen to the MTR. All right, the question came up about multiple cameras, right? So again, this is one of the challenges when we're designing rooms, large rooms. How do I go and capture all the various areas around that room so that I know as a far end participant, I'm seeing all the people represented in that room, right? It could be, that's from an audio perspective. How do we go and design the audio? That's from a video perspective. How do we go in and design from an audio, right? So our V bars that we showed before, even though they're fantastic for capturing audio, producing audio output, they're very good for that. But maybe large rooms, maybe we want to introduce an external DSP. Maybe I want to have ceiling speakers. Maybe I want to have ceiling microphones, whatever the case may be. Those are all additives that we can bring into the room. But I wanted to call out, as the question came up, multiple cameras. It enables the far end participant, the remote participant, to easily adjust their view and focus on where they want to focus on.
Jeff, another question came up on what is Poly's plan on doing a dedicated scheduling panel? So I know the TC10 can be set up as a separate scheduling panel, but is there plans for a separate standalone scheduling panel?
So the TC10 is, as you pointed out, the TC10 is a separate scheduling panel, right? So it's a dual purpose device. So as it was shown previously, it will act as the room controller in your MTR. It can just as easily act as an individual scheduling panel outside of the room. So when I walk up to a room, it's connecting and interfacing in with whatever your calendaring service, whether it's Exchange, whether it's Google, whatever the case may be. and it's going to show the scheduling capability of that room, of that account, that resource. So I can either book the room, I can see whether it's vacant, I can see if it's booked. It shows us green versus red, and it allows me to either on an ad hoc basis, I can go in and schedule the room via that scheduling panel, or whether I want to go into Exchange and book that room itself. So dual purpose product.
There was
So
another
that was-
question that came in around how many USB buses does the compute have? Because there's some call on challenges that the E70 may have if it doesn't have its own 3.1 bus.
So the bus itself, it's a I'd have to go back and confirm. It's either 3.1 or 3.2 bus, if that's what the question was. I missed part of the beginning.
How many USB buses does the compute have?
I believe it is a single bus, but I would have to confirm that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were talking about the Windows side of things, the X series. So the X series is the Android solution, all in one bar, as opposed to the Windows, which are USB attached peripherals. The X series are the all-in-one, so video, camera, speaker, microphone, running on an embedded Android OS. So regardless of Windows versus Android, when we're designing rooms, it's always predicated on whether it's a small room, a medium room, or a large room, right? So as you can see represented on the X series, so a 32, a 52, 72, small, medium, large. I'm not going to drill down into every one of these topics here, but obviously, as I mentioned before, we do focus on target room size. And as you can see, that's bolded here, 15 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet, so small, medium, large room. Audio options, whether I'm integrating with an external DSP, the A2 mics, which are a new introduction that I'll get into, and then you can see various different features among those. You'll have access to the deck, so I won't go through all these various bullet points. Something that's really important when it comes to the camera capability. Where am I focusing? What am I picking up in the room? So again, I mentioned small, medium, large. In the past with customers, as they were coming up, they always wanted to have that 120-degree horizontal field of view, right? So we do have that with the 32 and the 72, so small and large rooms. But we found when on the medium-sized rooms, we purposely not minimized, but condensed the field of view. So I'll draw your attention to, it's a 95-degree field of view. And we purposely did that because when you look at the screenshot here, that little icon, the image, typically the area that's outside of that 95 degrees, so I'm now extending that into 120 degree, that's dead air. Those are pixels that are captured by that camera. That's not, it's wasted camera image. So when you really think of it, when I've got the power person where they typically like to sit is at the back of the room, and for the camera to go in and pick up that person, typically I'm zooming in or I'm really trying to extend the pickup area. Now when I do zoom in, I don't want all of this dead air that's wasting pixel space. I want to really condense and really focus my attention and zoom in on that person sat at the back of the room. The end result is when I do zoom in, I don't have a grainy image. That person is captured in a good, clear, concise video quality image. Right? So I really wanted to highlight that because I know a lot of times customers are always saying, I want to have 120 degree. But when we do that, the reality is if I made this 120 degree, the pixel count is just going to be so immense that when I zoom in, the quality image isn't really all that good. Compared to the 72 series, the 70 series, you see even with the E70 here, dual images, dual camera imagers. So we've got a wide field of view that's capturing the front of the room. We've got a telescopic camera imager that picks up and reduces the field of view so I can pick up that upwards 25 feet. But the intent really is for the people that are, regardless of where I'm situated in the room, the people that are at the front of the room versus the back of the room, we maintain a quality, constant quality image all along the boardroom table. Compared to some other products that are on the market, a lot of times they'll focus on the middle of the room. So people at the back of the room, people at the front of the room, they might not necessarily be in the optimal image. All right, poll question. So do you think that AI plays a role in unified communications? So video, let's condense that into video. And I'll give you a moment to yes, no, and it's perfectly fine to say unsure. Okay. Oh, look at that, a resounding 100%, so fantastic. We're all in perfect agreement. So when it comes to the video capabilities, I'm sure this is probably familiar to a lot of you. There's various different camera framing modes, if you will. Group framing, people framing, where we individualize the people, we give them the meeting room equity, and we bring them front and center into their own respective video panel. Speaker framing, and then finally down the bottom left here, presenter tracking, where I can track the individual, maybe that's a presenter or instructor, whatever the vertical that we're in. I can go in and keep track of when that person is moving about it in the room. So AI plays a huge role in this when it comes to understanding where the room is, the characteristics of the room, where people are situated in the room, and I will frame that room based on the best quality experience, where transition from a typical room view where people typically sit far away from the camera, but let's bring them closer up front. So the end result is me as a far end viewer, I'm now getting a better experience out of that. All right. The people framing, different modes for whether the ecosystem they're using, whether it's Teams, whether it's Zoom, etc. But this is a composite view today, and we're fast forwarding or continuing that innovation, if you will, to expand on that. And I'll get into that a little bit more. Director AI perimeter. So again, similar to what I was describing with the audio experience, where glass walls are introducing the reverberation of audio sound waves. A glass wall can also introduce problems when it comes to the camera itself and picking up people. So cameras are always looking for faces. So if I have a glass wall, you can see I've got, here's somebody that happens to be standing outside of the glass wall. The camera doesn't really know that, hey, that's a boundary. And I'm bringing that person into view. So they could now be a group view. They could be now presented as a person in the people framing mode, depending on what category you've got that camera in. So I have the ability to define my room, my zone, my perimeter, if you will. And so I eliminate where I'm instructing the camera. Don't focus on that. That's outside of my view. I don't want you to bring that person in. So I highlight this and bring this to your attention. We used to, in the past, have the ability to configure this via the web interface, right? And it was sort of a guesstimate. I'm going to say, from a width point of view, I'm going to say it's 8 foot from center or 12 feet or whatever the case may be. But it was sort of a best guess estimate. I was always kind of micking around with it to really nail down that zone. Well, now we've introduced the capability of leveraging that TC10, and I can I can expand and I can define my zones from a visual perspective. So I will see on the monitor, I will see whether people are in view or whether they're out of view. As you can see, the blue meaning, hey, I'm in view. The red people that are outside outside of that glass wall, I can instantly see without having to go through the guesswork. I can define what my camera zone is going to be. So again, it simplifies the experience for you as the administrator. I mentioned, different strokes for different folks when it comes to Teams versus Zoom, et cetera. When it comes to, we've worked in the past quite a bit with Zoom. We've helped them work with their smart gallery. We've extended and came out with a version 2. So in the past, it used to be the room view plus 2 individual speaking panels, if you will. We're taking the E70 camera, our digital camera, identifying the people in the room and breaking them out into what you see. Room view plus 3 logical individual, for lack of a better term, people frame mode. So we can capture up to 18 people this way, right? So again, depending on whether you want to go with Zoom, whether you want to go with Teams, there's lots of different capabilities from the camera and what you want to position. I'm going to pass on that one. You don't need to go on that. So fast forward into Video OS 5. So this is a new major release that we are coming out with very shortly. It's right on the horizon right now. But 5.0 is, as I mentioned, a major release for us. It is bringing the X series devices up to Android version 13. So it's really what the industry is at right now. We will be leveraging Android 13, but again, from the capabilities that we are introducing, we're even furthering the video camera technology and enhancing using machine learning language that we've trained the cameras to have a better representation of identifying people where they're situated in the room. So we've trained the camera using AI to, like I said, to have a better focusing experience on whether it's speaker tracking, whether it's people framing and where people are situated in the rooms. We've got a better capability of people, if they're sitting close together, I can still individualize those people. When it comes to AI noise blocking, so the audio technology, the amount of compute it takes for us to identify and block out these background noises, whether it's HVAC, whether it's paper shuffling, whether it's pen clicking, whatever typical distractions we have in most meeting rooms, it takes an inordinate amount of compute to be able to go in and block out those background noises, to identify me speaking live and the active background noise. For me to continue to be able to be picked up while that background noise is evident takes a lot amount of compute. So you can imagine if our CPU is maxed out, what's going to happen? You can imagine that maybe I can't process the video, maybe I'm going to inject some other issues. But we've now, with 5.0, we are extending that and allowing an NPU, a neural processing unit, that can offload the CPU. So the end result is I'm not maxing out or taxing the CPU and injecting any potential problems. So we've done a lot of work on reducing audio and video latency. You can imagine as we're working with the various providers, Microsoft and Zoom, et cetera, we have to certify using their applications. Usually that's a lot of back and forth. We make some adjustments, they test, whether it passes or fails, we have to go back. It's a lot of back and forth. With 5.0, we amazed these ecosystem providers and we passed at first pass. So that's a huge feather in our cap so that we we're very confident with 5.0. And when you're talking to your customers, this is going to be a fantastic release moving forward. I'll be cognizant of time here. Something, again, similar in lockstep with 5.0. When it comes to, and you're talking with your customers, a lot of customers are always asking, what's the lifespan? What's my life cycle going to be when I purchase this product? So we recently introduced a life cycle, if you will, of our products, the X series products, the second generation. So anything ending in a 2, 32, 52, 72, G62, not the first generation, the 30, the 50, the 70, the G7500. We are going out and providing support today with 13. We're going to skip 15. We're going to go right to Android 17. So this is huge when you're out there talking with your customers. The biggest feather in our cap with this support, we're providing support all the way up to 2032. This is public knowledge. We can provide information that states that, but feel confident when you're going up and promoting this product, this level of support. Nobody else has come out and being able to provide that level of support for that amount of time. So we're quite proud of that. Okay, something again, when we're coming out with the 5.x stream, we're coming out with a feature enhancement that for those of you that may be familiar with the Teams mode of operation when it comes to getting the X series and our TC8 or 10 controller to connect and register into Teams. In the past, I had to sign in on the X series, I had to sign in on the controller, and then once I did both of those sign-in process, it went up to the cloud and attempted to marry or pair the two devices together. It was a bit of a convoluted exercise. It was somewhat problematic, right? It wasn't the best experience, if I can call it that, with customers, right? So we've recognized that, and we've eliminated this process, and the TC10 is going to pair itself as it usually does to the control. Pardon me. The controller will pair itself to the X series, and then it's a single registration or sign in into Teams. So we're eliminating all those multiple steps just to be able to successfully sign into Teams. So look forward to that when we're bringing that out, and that will be, we demonstrated this at the recent ISE in Barcelona back in, I think it was November, I think it was. I can't remember exactly when it was, but we introduced that at that major trade show. Right, so it eliminates all of these problems that you see over here on the left. Don't have to worry about Intune. I'm not reporting into the cloud. It just significantly simplifies the overall experience of signing into Teams. Another thing that we're coming out with, we've been promoting in the past, we've been discussing this with a lot of our customers. Again, we showcased this at ISE 2026. The ability to have multiple cameras, the X series coupled with an E70, and we are providing a better experience when it comes to capturing the presence and the gaze of where people are looking. So if you think of a single front of room device, the X series, it's not capturing the best experience of where a person is looking, but if I can position another camera, the end result is I've got a better captured image of that person. From a people framing perspective, we were going from 6 to 8. This is the first phase that we'll be introducing coming up shortly. We have plans to augment that and add in multiple cameras as we go further down the line. So depending on where people are situated in the room, having multiple cameras situated around the room, it's going to give an excellent experience for capturing all participants. So this today, the first iteration is going to come out with the 52 and the E70. As I mentioned before, look forward for continued advancements when it comes to augmenting that and building that out further.
Jeff, along the same lines as AI camera perimeter views and things like that, there's a question that came up in the chat around can AI camera feature auto switch video modes? So the smart detection of a presenter, flip it to the rear camera and keep it in the mode until the presentation concludes. Or is that something that you have to manually do?
So when we, with that multi-camera, we are going to be able to, as we expand the capabilities. So today we're going to have the two cameras working in unison with each other. So it's going to automatically switch to pick up where my facial gaze will be. Add more cameras into that, it's just going to make it an even better experience. Before we get to that, depending on whether it's Windows versus Android is a manual intervention where I have to go into room control and switch camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. Windows, I can have simultaneously, I can have up to 4 cameras that are providing the 4 individual streams. Hopefully that answers the question. USB bars, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this considering time, but very similar to the V series, very similar to the X series when it comes to, they're all purpose-built devices, all-in-one devices, but they are just a USB peripheral. They do not have any of the Teams clients or Zoom clients or whatever client. The expectation is I'm attaching this to typically an MTR or a Zoom PC, and I'm just acting as a USB attached peripheral. I'll draw your attention. I get asked this a lot. Even though the V series, they look, in all appearances, they look exactly the same. V series compared to the X series, they have those HDMI ports in there. The only thing those HDMI ports are used for is on setup. They will display the monitor so that I can see the IP address. I can see how the device is working, but in operation, those HDMI ports are not leveraged. Okay, the one nice thing, again, this is HP and Poly coming together. When it comes to BYOD, right, bring your own device. We are bringing out the docking station, the G6 docking station. So now I'm providing a single cable attachment. I can have all my peripherals, my displays attached to the back of the docking station, a single cable for me to come and connect to that USB bar. And I'm now leveraging that as my display, my peripherals. It's a nice, simple one-step process. Connect that cable into my laptop, and I'm leveraging all of those devices that are connected to the dock. The other beauty of that, the G6 docking station, it's manageable in lens, right? So again, we put a lot of emphasis on the management of all our products, but now even the MTR systems, and as well as the G6 that we're talking about, all of those can be now managed within Lens. Okay, so with the X series products and to some level of the V series that we'll get into, we're now promoting the ability of what we categorize as StudioNet. So this is really IP connectivity over specific ports on the products, right? So in this case, it's a purpose-built Ethernet port. We call it LLN, or link layer network. And it's providing the connectivity of the peripherals that you see down here on the bottom. So my cameras, my E70, my E60, my table mics, my ceiling mics, all promoted and connected over IP. right? So I don't have to worry about all those other extenders that we're talking about. We reduce the complexity. We have control over the devices, and no more complicated designs, USB extenders, et cetera, right? We support Netgear. These are purpose-built AV switches. They leverage the PTP precision time protocol. That's something that is very is heavily utilized when it comes to promoting the audio and video signals. It is as the name implies, it is very precise when it comes to the timing. So when we've got these attached peripherals, audio and video, the timing of those communications streams is very precise. So Netgear is the one that we're supporting. Started with the 8-port, but now, as you can see on the slide, we're supporting the full gamut of the ProAV line. So I did mention initially the G62, the X72, they have the purpose-built LLN ports. But what if I were in a room that maybe I don't have those devices, right? So maybe I've just got, it's a medium-sized room, it's a small-sized room. How do I go in and allow for that LLN capability? So we're coming out and we're promoting the USB to Ethernet. There's various ones. HP has their own. When you plug that device into the USB port, it's now connecting into your corporate network. It enables this LAN port to now promote and leverage LLN functionality. So the same as the previous slide depicted, now I've got the capability of leveraging IP connectivity into the medium and small room X52 and X32 series products. And this is just another slide leveraging it and showing that capability. So something that's not widely known to a lot of customers, a lot of partners, but the G62, and this one best of show at Infocom a couple years back, but the G62 that you can see displayed on the back of this monitor, it's connecting over a magnetic mounting plate. So the mounting plate would just go into your typical Visa stand or mounts, if you will, and it easily pops off, meaning that the G62 magnetically connects and pops off of this plate. It allows you to easily add connections, take off cables, whatever the case may be, rather than monkeying around trying to squirm in between a monitor and a wall. And it just allows me to easily pop that device off, make whatever changes I need to do, and pop it back on. And within seconds, within minutes, I've done whatever I need to do. So nice and simple. You can see that the power supply will connect magnetically, the G62 connects magnetically, and that mounting plate is just simply connecting to your Visa mount. Okay, new microphones. So these are, we recently introduced these back in October. These are the A2 microphones. These, as you can see, come in two different colors, white and black. They are connecting over a 3-wire cable, leveraging the A to B protocol. So it's very simple to connect these devices, connect them and deploy them around the table. They connect and go through this audio bridge that you see here. That audio bridge is converting the audio wavelengths into IP, and the audio bridge is simply connecting to whatever X series box that you're using, right? The microphones themselves, fantastic audio out of it. They have 4 mic elements in there. These are unidirectional microphones as opposed to other products out there that are omnidirectional. And we purposely did that because when you think of when we're trying to go back from an audio innovations capability and recall that we're trying to say that I want to block out those background noises. If I have an omnidirectional mic, but I want to pick up on that speaker, then an omnidirectional mic is picking up the speaker, but it's also picking up the surrounding audio. right? So it's not very conducive to providing that noise block or that audio mitigation capability. So if I have a unidirectional mic that's picking up on the active speaker and the other three mic elements are blocking out that surrounding noise, right? So it really promotes a much better quality experience. The audio bridges, you can see, these are Phoenix connectors in there. So I can have up to eight mics in one single stream or string, if you will, or I can break that up into 4 individual strings depending on what my needs are. From a cabling perspective, you can see that we've got a little cable raceway, and the bottom there are magnetic plates depending on how you want to mount these devices. These are table mics, if I didn't make that clear. We are coming out with ceiling mics. Those are coming out later down the road, but today these are table mics that we're offering.
Jeff, we need to move into Q&A and closing remarks.
Okay. So
2 questions came up. One around, does the LLN work on Windows?
I'm sorry, say again, please.
Does the LLN work on Windows?
Yes, that's a very good question. If you will, let's see if I think I have a slide on that. But to answer the question, yes, they do. So again, recall that with the USB Ethernet connection, I can do that with the V-Series. So it's not providing IP camera technology, but it will provide the A2 mics to connect to the V-Series as IP peripherals, yes.
And then the multi-camera experience on Teams, is that a single stream? And does it pull from multiple cameras at once?
It is 4 individual camera streams. So up to 4 cameras can be connected to the MTR, and it's the remote participant, the viewer, that I can choose which camera I want to have as my primary view, and then I can have up to 3 other images being displayed in the Teams call. And then I can rotate, or I have the option to choose which one I'm watching as a prominent display.
Can we open it up to other questions that come up? You throw it in the chat now.
Okay. Well, I know we're
multi-stream option, is that 1 panel or 4 panels?
The multi-stream, is it
1 pane, or is it 4 panes?
It's four panes. So we're talking about the cameras on the MTR. So 4 cameras, 4 individual boxes for me as the remote Teams client. Yes. And then 4 individual touch controllers as well, to emphasize that. So if there isn't any, hopefully there's some further questions, but until we have some, to summarize the capabilities, we really do feel as HP, we have a significant advantage of, we are a one-stop shop, if you will, right? We are marketing a 1 HP when it comes to, we've got the compute, we have the peripherals, we have all the devices, we have management. I did mention Lens, that's providing our management of our products, inclusive of the MTR. But if you want to go above and beyond that, HP has purchased another product called Vyopta, which will morph into Workplace Experience Program. That will provide management of not only the HP Poly products, but say, for example, it's a multi-vendor management product. Say, for example, perhaps Cisco as an example, where I can really drill down to and get a very comprehensive view of how the devices are working. It extends the troubleshooting capability. So it's a very, very comprehensive product. So Think of Lens as your beginning step. And if I really need to get into the multi-vendor, drilling down into a true troubleshooting capability, we have the capability with Vyopta/WXP.
Thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate you taking the time to take us through the deck. Lots of information. We'll definitely be sharing the deck with everyone. Just as we're closing, if anyone wants to reach out to me directly, we can have a one-off conversation. Happy to set up a call to do a deeper dive with yourselves and your teams, and bring in HP Poly as a resource to do a deeper dive or training on anything that we've covered or not covered during the training session today. So just reach out to me directly, and we'll work to coordinate that. Also, for our partners out in Vancouver, D&H will be coming in April 1st for our threat event, and HP Poly will be in attendance with some demos, and we can have a deeper dive down there as well. I'll make sure we share the deck and the invite out. But I appreciate everyone today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time.